The opinions expressed on the radio program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
Good evening and welcome to GenesisRadio.com. My name is Kendall Stevenson. Beside me is Shaquana Terry, and we are the Empowerment Show. As always, we like to start off with some sort of gratitude. I just want to give thanks for all the people that are around me. Seems like I have some really good people around me. Of course, I thank the Lord above, but I seem to have some really good people around me, and I'm very, very, very thankful and gracious for that. Young lady, anything we got?
Well, I'm always grateful for the man above, of course. Life, health, prosperity, abundance, all of that good stuff, and just the breath in my lungs. So.
Just so you guys don't know, this young lady had another young lady who just graduated, and that's amazing. So I think that's another thing to be thankful for. A lot of us are not attending colleges or thinking that we shouldn't finish high school. I'm here to tell you you should, because as my man said, education is the new currency.
For sure.
If you don't have education, then you're going to be broke.
For sure, and I appreciate that gesture. But however, she didn't graduate.
Oh,
Her boyfriend actually graduated, and
right
she
on.
attended his prom. She doesn't graduate until next year, so I have to do it all over
And she's
again.
well on her way.
Yes, she is.
May 28th.
Congratulations to him.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
May 28th, my granddaughter is graduating.
that's correct.
So that's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
Right on.
Education is wonderful, and I think anyone should experience it.
So, with being grateful, today we have a young lady that's on with us, and her name is Cheryl Hines. And she is one of the ladies behind the mic, but she is so much more.
Yes.
So much more. She has a long history and a long story to tell. I was very impressed when I read her bio. I really was. It was a good bio. All right. Young lady, Miss Hines, would you like
Yes.
to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name, like you said, is my government is Cheryl Hines, aka DJ Indy. And how I came along with that name was the fact that I've been in the music industry for over, not to date myself, 35 years. And so Indy is short for industry. So that's how DJ Indy came about. And then the fact that I decided to go to broadcasting school at a later age in life, a very fine, seasoned age in life, and I graduated with a broadcast journalism degree, and decided that I wanted to go into radio after such a long, prestigious type of a music career. So I've done a little bit of everything, but today I'm on your show because the show was about empowerment. And so my point that I really want to drive home today is about when you first see the talent of your child, because that's how I got started in the industry. I was a little girl. I love music. My dad, we were in the military. My father brought a record player home, and that was it for me. And the rest is history. I got up on the table. I thought I was the little Diana Ross. I kept singing, and I just kept going. And I grew into a teenager that always stayed in the choirs. And from that, ended up in a singing group called the Three Shades of Black. And we were from Trenton, New Jersey at that time.
Would you believe I heard of that group?
I can believe it because we actually opened up for a group back in the days called Black Ivory
There you go.
at Rutgers University. Yep. And we started doing concerts and all kinds of tours and things like that. But from there, I ended up breaking up with the group, and I just decided I wanted to go out on my own. And so I just kept on with the music, and I ended up landing in Atlanta, Georgia. And my brother had a record label that he started at that time called Ground Effects Records. So I was his house singer. I was his house demo creator and his writer. And so me and him quickly got together. Before you know it, I'm in the studio with Usher. Akon is sitting on my mom's couch eating our food. It was nothing to see Bobby Valentino with his broken down 280Z come right up to our house in Atlanta. And this is all was happening. And I mean, I wasn't star-studded or anything. This was just part of music for me.
Mhm.
But what was the most exciting, which I think about now, was I got an opportunity to work in Bosstown Studios with Bobby Brown and his brother Tommy Brown. And so my brother was a house producer there, so he would bring me along. So I was there to tag along to do any demos that they were writing, any music, any background. I was there. This one particular day, I'll tell you a story where I'm just sitting around with my brother in the studio, and this little young man comes in, and he's got so much little energy. You can tell he's about 13 years old. And my brother says, "Hey, Usher, how you doing? Let me introduce you to my sister. Her name is Sheree, because that was my name at that time as a recording artist. It was Sheree." So he said, "How you doing, Sheree?" And I said, "Hi." He said, "Listen, go in the studio, Usher, and I want you and my sister to do some background shots for this piece I'm working on." So before you know it, me and Usher in there singing and everything, and I'm still not knowing how powerful this little young man is. But after he finished singing, I said, "You're going to be famous one day. You watch."
Hmm.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so he owes me one big time, because when I see him,
Okay, so he owes me.
he owes me big time, because he told me, he said, you're a great singer. He says, "You're famous." And I said, "Well, look, if I ever catch you up there and, put your name up in lights, you make sure you look out for me." But the bottom line was that it was just so exciting to be in the industry. And it all started because of a love, of a passion that you have. And
Yeah.
so back to driving home, when you notice that your kids have a certain talent, please don't ignore it. If you see that they love music, invest in it, push them towards it.
Mhm.
Make it, because it's not a coincidence that there's a love there for that. It's something that's driving them to do it. And you may have the next Beyonce or the next Jay-Z in your life. You don't know who that child could be. But the thing is, other than that, there are many, many opportunities to being in the industry besides just being a recording artist. You can be a writer, you can be a makeup artist, and make more money sometimes than the artist by traveling all over the world. But
Very
the
Exactly.
bottom line is that whatever the talent is, if your child wants to go in the industry, that there are many, many careers in the music industry besides just singing and writing. And the thing is that if you notice that your child does have a talent, and say they're a writer, push them to write, because they might write the next big hit for somebody big in the industry. You never know.
I agree with that, and I actually wanted to interject here because I wanted to know, even if your child has a talent, say for instance, they know that they have the talent, but they don't really have the drive,
That was my next question.
or to want to actually do that. What are some of the tips that I don't know if you've ever dealt with that, but what are some of the tips that you can give to parents to actually nudge them gently in the right direction?
Thanks. That's a great question. And the bottom line that I have to that is, if you see that, like I said, your child has a talent in singing, or you notice he's been singing around the house, buy him a microphone, buy him a recorder, buy him all the tools that he can do to record himself, so that he can hear himself and get perfect at that career, if that's what he wants to do. But just to test himself out, that's pushing him towards that direction, and it's actually encouraging him. And for instance, if he's a producer and you see him banging on or making sounds with his mouth, that young man's a producer. Buy him a keyboard with all the sounds on it, so he can start practicing his playing and things like that. And so whatever that you see your child doing in that industry, but I don't care what it is, it could be automotive. If they're good at cars and changing tires, push them in that direction. Take them to a place like an automotive store, and if you know your mechanic, hey, let him watch the mechanic change a tire or an oil change or something like that. You'll be surprised. There's so many things that you can do as a parent to push them, instead of them always going online using social media. You
Mhm.
can
Yeah,
yourself talk to someone that you may know and say, "Hey, listen, I have a son. I think he's going to be good in doing engineering work. Can he come to your job?" And when you have time, and you kind of show him a little bit of the ropes. It
Mhm.
doesn't hurt to ask.
Now, it never hurts to actually, if you find that your children have a passion for something, that you can encourage them by actually bring them to the people that they have the passion about. You got a kid that loves the medicine, you bring him to a doctor. You got a kid that you said wanted to be an engineer, well, bring him to one. Now,
yeah,
you have some kids out there that have talent and no passion for the talent. I mean, I know a young man, he could play the piano. He's been playing the piano since he was 5 years old, and he's actually pretty good. He played at Columbia. Talking about my son.
Wow! Congratulations to your
yeah,
son.
Yeah, he played it when he was 5, 6 years old. He was doing the thing at Columbia, but he doesn't want to do that. His passion is in finances, as I told you before,
hmm
and I've been pushing him. Not really pushing him, but at least helping him out with the groundwork, getting the right people around him, getting him involved with the right people that can put him on the right path to do what he wants to do. So still, Same thing. If you find out what your child's passion is, you can help push them towards that.
Okay,
Like
okay.
I have a granddaughter and her father's a rapper. My son's been in the studio with me. I have twins. So they're studio brats. And he is 6'7", but I promise you he has the prettiest, biggest baby. And
Mhm.
that baby loves music. And I
Mhm.
said, son, you better watch her. I'm telling you, she's gonna be just like you. I see her rocking her head, bouncing, bopping. I'm telling you. So I bought her a keyboard for Christmas with a microphone attached to it. And when I took it up there for her for Christmas, she already knew what it was. She set it up. She went and got this other little radio that my son brought her, and she said it like it was a studio. How does she know this? See, these are the things I'm talking about. When you see something that your baby has, push them at a very young age. Don't even be afraid. Just watch them. Like another story I have is that I have a grandson that has autism. He's on the spectrum, so he's verbal with it. So when he was younger, he was very aggressive, but as he, with the proper programs and everything, he's doing great. But I noticed that he loved to do YouTube. So he has a YouTube channel and he's called Mason the Red Pikmin. And on the YouTube channel, he basically talks about the games that he plays, and he has a lot of viewers. It's really great. But
Mhm.
what I told my daughter, I said, well, then this means that you guys need to get him into maybe buying, maybe he'll be the next Spike Lee. If he's doing YouTube channels and things like that, push him into doing movies and stuff like that. You just never know. But
Yeah,
the bottom line is that our kids are so capable of so many things, and it starts at home.
I
It
agree
really
with that.
does.
I agree with that. Because I'm going to put myself in it because I am a singer.
Okay.
But I only sing in church because that is what I was brought up to do. My grandmother's Pentecostal, so she's like, the only way that you're going to sing is if you're going to sing in church. It's never really been a passion of mine because that's something that I just knew how to do. Some people just know how to sing, so it is sometimes it's not a passion. There are people who have that have a knack to sing, but they actually and they also have the passion. I didn't have the passion. But even though someone said, you should do this, you should do that, I'm like, I'll just sing for church. But my kids, they also sing, and they don't have the passion either. So they're like, they can just sing, but they're like, I don't really want to do anything like that. So even though they have the talent, it's my job to say, okay, what else do you want to do? Because I don't want them to go down that road
And
and
do
then
something,
fail
waste
at
your time doing something that
it.
right. And
Yeah.
then you know what, our children, they can pivot. It's okay if they decide that it's just like when they go to college and then they decide they don't want to go to college, or they
Mhm.
take up a course and they decide that's not what they want to study. So they're going to pivot. You will find some children that will pivot, and
Mhm.
it's like an adult. And that leads me to Terry. I've got to thank Terry because Terry gave me an opportunity on Genesis Radio was it about 9 years ago, would you say?
Uh, I'm going to say yes, but at
Yeah.
the
That he
moment,
allowed me to come in and be
I would probably say about 8 years ago, and yes, I think it's about 8 years ago he had you on the show.
and he really he gave me such a great opportunity. I came in on Saturdays. I got to work with the other DJs that were there, and Terry himself, and just work with a lot of great brothers in there. But the opportunity is what I really appreciated because he didn't have to do that, and
Mhm.
I was new. And the thing was that he knew it was a passion that I had, and I didn't know how I was going to go about it. Actually, I was just doing my own radio station, which I still have right now, but I wanted to see how it would be to feel as an actual surreal radio station and just to basically be there to chop it up and to vibe with people. And so Terry gave me that opportunity. And through that, I've met very nice people. And of course, I met Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire,
Mhm.
who made me one of the honorary women of the Women Behind the Mic. So Terry, I thank you so much. I'm giving you your flowers today, my brother.
Uh,
Okay.
I'm going to say thank you for Terry. 'Cause
And then Kendall, I'm giving you yours because you were there when I got honored that day, my young man. So you looked out for me too. So I thank you very well as much.
Thank
right
you.
on. Terry stepped out for a second.
Yeah.
All that talking for nothing. Okay, that's all right.
No, but
You watch the
hey, you know
replay.
what? It's all recorded. So again, like she said,
Yes.
it'll be replayed. But what I wanted to tell you about with your daughters who really they have a talent, but they don't have a passion.
Right.
Even the fact that they're willing to get on a stage or in front of people and sing, that's a beautiful thing. But it also helps with public speaking.
It does.
It
So
certainly does.
even though they don't want to sing, they still may have to give a presentation, and they won't have problems giving, because if you work for a large corporation or if you're in school, you're going to give presentations. So that's going to help you out. she took broadcasting. And in broadcasting, that's part of what you have to do. You got to stand in front of a podium, and you have to learn how to speak in front of people so that she sings the way she does your daughters, and where she's at. That's kind of like a what do you call a 2 for 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Now,
And yes, I'm sorry. I'm waiting.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, hon.
Just gotta, since you guys are, we gotta do a station break just for a station identification. Thank you for tuning in to GenesisRadio.com. My name is Kendall Stevenson. This is Shaquana Terry. We are the Empowerment Show. If you'd like to give us a call, please call us at 888-304-4401. That's 888-304-4401. This evening, we have Cheryl Hines on with us,
Yes.
one of the ladies behind the mic. So we're just sitting around chopping it up, having a nice little conversation. Anybody feel that they want to tune in, please do. You can text us, you can chat us, you can call us, reach out and touch.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
My question for you was referring to the women behind the mic. How did you link up with Dr. LaJoyce?
There we go again. I have to give Terry his flowers. I was doing a show one evening, and she came walking into the studio, and she's a very voluptuous built lady. When she walked in, she's very beautiful too. When she walked in, she saw him. She said, "Whoa, wow, who are you?" Because I did have something fabulous on. I'm not gonna lie. I had a fur coat on, and it was bad, and I had this suit on. So when she looked at me, she said, "You look like someone I need to know." And then we started talking. She told me who she was, and that she was a professor and a naturopathic doctor, and that she was a playwright, and that she also was there to perform her play that night. And she invited the whole staff at Gynesis Radio to come see her play that night at one of the colleges there. So we did. We came to see her play, and it was absolutely voluminous. It was awesome, and I didn't even know the caliber of who she was. I'm glad I did, because I probably would have been ridiculously star-studded. So I didn't know she was the Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire that wrote Soul Food. Or I didn't know that she was the Dr. LaJoyce that was on Sirius XM for all those years. And, and I just didn't know that she was the Dr. LaJoyce that worked up there in New York with Clive Davis and Diddy back in the day, and Puffy and Aretha Franklin. And I'm like, what? If I'd have known that, I would have acted a little bit sillier. But I'm glad I didn't know that. And she was very casual about who she was. And so her play, like I said, was nice. From that day, we kept in touch with each other. And I think about a few months later on, she told me she was going to start her own podcast. And so she gave me the link, and I checked her podcast out. I liked it. It was really nice because it talked about her naturopathic work that she does as a holistic doctor. And I said, this is definitely going to be some stuff that's going to be informative. People need to know. But I thought there was a little something missing in her representation of the show. She needed some music. I thought, like an intro or something. So I worked on an intro on my own, and I put some music on it. And I said, please join me live to Ask the Good Doctor. And I added a little bit of music to it or something like that. And then I sent it to her and told her, I said, this is what you need to have on your intro. And she sent me a big okay back, and she said, yes, I like it. So from that day, I just became her announcer. And then when her and her colleague, Michelle Joyce, finished their book, Women Behind the Mic, their first volume, I was so excited about that I told her, I said, look, we need to do some, you guys are going to have functions where the women are going to come out, and they're going to do Q&A and book signings. So what I decided to do was, she sent me the bios of the women, and I said, I'm going to add some music. She wanted me to read them. But what I did is I asked her, do they all have a particular song that they like? And I would get the songs that they like and then play the music under their bios. And so that became a habit. So that's now a number one thing that I do with Women Behind the Mic. I'm an announcer as well, but I also do all their bios. And that's how I got to find out about some of the most prestigious women, legendary in the business, that have not been mentioned, have not been talked about. And now it is time these ladies are telling their own story, including me. So it's really great.
Thank you very much for telling your story.
You're welcome.
Is there anything that you don't do?
Anything that I don't do? You know what? This is personal.
Musically inclined. Let's just say.
Musically inclined. Yeah. You know what? I wish I knew how to play a bass. I really do, because I play one with my voice, but I really wish I could physically play a bass.
We talking bass, like ba ba ba. We talking bass straight up and down.
You talking about a bass like this. Yeah.
Right.
Not straight up and down. Because my brother's a bass player. He's a left-handed bass player. And
Mm.
I always wanted to play a bass. So
Mm. That's the only instrument you don't play. Whatever, do you play any others?
I don't play. And my brother?
No, you.
No, I don't play any instruments unless you want to call my voice an instrument.
Of
I was
course it
gonna say
is.
her voice.
Of course, your voice is.
My voice is an instrument because I am a contralto and I can sing all those different notes.
Mm.
I love that.
I'm not Whitney Houston, but let me tell you something. If you put me on a mic, I can hit that note. I promise you I will. And it gives me adrenaline rush when I get into the studio.
Hmm.
And
Right.
another thing I wanted to mention is that another reason why I got into radio, guys, is because radio is a great opportunity to give people a voice. And I decided that when I get an opportunity that I am going to make sure that I'm going to design something where it will focus on children with special needs, because I believe that children with special needs, they need to have a voice. And a lot of times they're overlooked. We only go by what they have, by what the doctor says, but we don't know. When you look at that child, when they grow up and they're somebody that's going to be important in the world, they need to have a voice. And so sometimes teaching them how to communicate is a great thing. So I think a radio station where they can talk about things, even their disabilities, is
Mm.
going to be a great opportunity in the future. So that's what I'm considering and working on.
Have you ever listened to Joe Madison? My man.
No.
Oh, my man, Joe Madison. They call him the Black Eagle. And this man, well, he's passed away recently, but he was amazing. I mean, amazing. He's on the Sirius XM on the Urban View.
Okay.
So I thought maybe you're listening to maybe Karen Hunter or those guys.
Karen Hunter, I've definitely heard of. Absolutely. Yes.
Right, Karen Hunter, Clay Kane. I mean, they have a whole host of people that are on their show. But on this radio station here on Genesis, we have a young man named Ronald Yates. And Ronald Yates kind of does just that. He touches on a lot of different topics and subjects.
Oh, I like Ron Yates. I'm subscribed to him. I check him out all the time. He's got a bald head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I check Ron out all the time. I'm subscribed to Ron.
There you go.
Get out. Wow, I didn't know that.
If you subscribe to for those that are listening, if you subscribe to the radio station, then you get an opportunity to listen to all of the shows.
Yes, absolutely.
And not just tune into the one, because we have DJ Strategy. We have quite a few people. Great. We have Shaquana Terry.
Well, I will make it my business to make sure that I'm going to listen to all of you guys, including you, Shaquana. Definitely.
Shaquana, with her voice, her musical instrument, she's actually very amazing. She's very articulate. She's very intelligent, and hopefully in the near future, she's going to have her own show. She'll host her own show here.
Plant that seed. Plant that seed.
Well, I
You heard that, right?
That's that.
We've been throwing it around in the
He's been
air.
throwing it
I
around.
really have been throwing it around in the air.
Build it and people will come.
Well,
Absolutely.
we're trying to build a radio station and in order to do that, you got to have something that people are going to want to watch and listen to.
For sure.
So this show is doing okay. It's doing pretty well, and the other shows are doing pretty well. So we could use another add-on.
Okay.
Just to reel more people in to listen to the station itself, not just the one show, but the station.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed. But just to pivot, I wanted to go back to what you were talking about with the with your, I guess you said your grandson was artistic.
Yes.
Your radio station, the radio show or the radio station that you have now, is that something that you're utilizing to bring awareness to autistic children, or are you just traveling the country?
Well, it is something that I am going to be in the future using to bring awareness to. Right now, it's just a digital radio station that's online. Mm-hmm. And I just play the basic top 40 music and do some ads and commercials. But when I get an opportunity and have my studio set up the way I want to, I'll be doing live broadcasting. And at that point, that's when I'll be having guests in my studio, like my grandson, mm-hmm. and anyone that would be interested, because I just believe that it should be a voice, and they should be able to come into a studio and just tell their story, whatever it is that they want to talk about. I don't care if it's about toys. I don't care if it's about their family members, but whatever it is that they can just have somewhere where they can talk about it and hear themselves talk about it back and get some advice about it. Like I said, my grandson, he's on the spectrum. He's very high and he's verbal. So a lot of the children that have autism are nonverbal. So I'm blessed that he is verbal, but my discretion, I believe, What I think is that my grandson, I don't believe he has autism. I believe he has Asperger's.
Mm.
Mm.
So things like that, I want to get online and talk about to educate moms and dads because I have four grandchildren that are all special needs. One's 26 years old, one's 21 years old, one's Mason, he's 11, and then I have a great granddaughter, and she has nonverbal autism, and she's 4 years old. So
Mhm.
we become a little professionals about how our children are raised, and I believe that's going to be a great show when that comes. Maybe even we'll have this on your show if that's okay, Kendall, one of these days.
Oh, really?
I mean, I agree with that.
I would love to have something like that on my show.
Yeah.
We've
Because a
had.
lot of parents are not educated to even know the signs of autism and things like that, guys. You know that?
Mhm.
That's for sure. And what I also think is when that show does come to fruition, it's going to give children, other young adults with autism that freedom to kind of say, you know what, I can do this too. You know, you giving them like a pathway to go down because some people their limit them with what they need to do or what they can do. Excuse me.
Exactly. They limit them and they label them, and it's so sad without knowing the potential that these children have. And
Right.
so I don't call them any. You know what I actually say? I don't say that they have a disability. I said that they're superheroes
I love
because
it.
they actually can educate us and teach us some things. If we just listen to these kids, you know, when you really understand what they're suffering from, it'll give you a little bit of education. Because, like I said, once I understood about my grandson, I mean, my mind was going like, what in the world is this? Was there something out back in the day when we were growing up? Is this something that was misdiagnosed? It's just so much education that we need to understand about it. But there's a voice that needs to be heard out there so that we can bring people awareness about our kids.
Agree.
Because also there are adults out there with these same disorders
Hmm.
that have been walking around for years misdiagnosed and never knew that they had autism or anything like that. You know, so that would be a great show. And like I said, radio is a piece of vice that can give all of our listeners the information that they need, even more sometimes than TV. Because
Right.
sometimes you're not able to watch TV, but you can always listen to the radio. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? At any given time.
So, just to ask another question about the music industry a little bit. Well, today we have a lot of things that are online. Everybody's online, and anyone with a microphone and a cell phone, yeah, they got a podcast. So, what advice would you give to a young person who wanted to actually get into broadcasting, male or female? Maybe they wanted to follow some of your footsteps and become who you are. What advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is to make sure that if they are willing to get into this industry, that they truly, really do love it, because it will take a love for you to even want to go through the process, because it's not a very easy process to go into broadcasting. There's a lot of things that you have to do, which is your diction, reading, knowing how to, you know, like I said, how to just be well read. And so it's a lot of things that are involved. But the thing is that it's got to be a passion that they want, and that they can also understand that there's many avenues besides broadcasting. You can be a news reporter, you can be a sports broadcaster, you can work for a basketball team being one of those announcers and things like that. But there's so many different careers that what I would tell any young person is that if they decide to go into it, don't be afraid to go online. There's courses that they offer online as well as curriculums in some of the colleges. But don't be afraid to go into broadcasting, because there's so many different avenues that they can get into. And it's a very lucrative field once they get into it. Honestly, besides me doing my radio station, I've made, honestly, in my career about, I would say, $3,000. It's not a lot, but I made $3,000 in commercials,
Mm,
just little short commercials for people in their businesses.
mm,
And then sometimes I would make more money because after I would play it on my radio station, then it would become residual. So that's another way that you can make money. You can do radios, you can do, like I said, interviews, you can do commercials for people. Um, matter of fact, I got a job at an HVAC company because what I did is I studied the company. I did a commercial for the company. I went and got an interview for the company, and then as part of my interview, I asked the manager, could I play something for him? And I played the commercial I did for the company. And
mm.
he said, you're not only going, you're going to get a raise. I'm going to give you $20 extra an hour, and you're going to be the executive secretary to the boss.
So
So
you're
look,
definitely a
look what that
go-getter.
did. Look what that did for me. I
Hmm.
had no idea, just by doing my research on that business. And then he said what it did for their company is they said they had never heard their business being announced. And it was like it brought their business to life. So I said, oh, I'm on to something. So I went to another dealership, a car dealership, looking for a car. I studied the dealership before I went in, did the commercial, I introduced myself to the manager that was of the company, put down the CD and told him to check this out. And when he heard it, he says, who are you? And he says, you can have any car you want on this lot. So that's the point I'm making. Sometimes it will get you some benefits. And a lot of times I don't get paid in this industry, but I get a lot of perks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, something my wife said to me. She just said that. Just reminded me of something my wife said. She says, we don't have a whole lot of money, but we got pretty much everything that we want. So I think that's cool too. If you don't have a lot of money, you can do other things too.
Well, I think that just having those perks up, first of all, it's fulfilling to be able to help someone, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what it's really all about, is giving back. And if you can make $1 or $2, great. But it's that feeling of completeness when you can help someone. And I know that you felt, you felt amazing when they came to you and said, "Listen, this is the best thing I've ever heard, or this is the best thing I've ever seen." And that actually goes a long way. Money spends and it goes away, but that you remember it, and you remember the feeling that you had. They remember the feeling that they had, and that's always going to stay with them.
And it got me that recognition that I need. So by being the announcer for Women Behind the Mic, as well as one of the women behind the mic, they now look forward to hearing DJ Indy's announcements. It's like a big thing with the women behind the mic. And I'm like, I feel so honored. I'm like, at first I felt like, am I deserving of this? But LaJoy says, Cheryl, you did your contribution to this industry just like all the rest of the women. Girl, please embrace it. So basically, she said, "Shut the heck up, and girl, just enjoy the ride. You are here."
That's
So
right.
I'm here, and whatever we can do, like I said, we have a story to tell each one of these ladies, and I'm just so proud of and honored to be a part of such a prestigious group of ladies. I mean, it just makes me feel so good. African American women, these are stories that we can tell our grandbabies, our children. It goes in history. And
Absolutely.
so it's really something to be part of the women behind the mic. And when you hear the stories, like I said, of each individual lady besides just me, it's going to be the most fascinating thing, because you just will not believe what these ladies endured at a very young age, and how they can really truly educate the young people now. Even though it was an industry that was back in that era, there's so much stuff that when they start talking about what they're doing and what they're going to do and what they've done, these kids should be taking notes and be ready to go to any university and get in the first musical program that they may have. It is very encouraging. So I'm so glad that these ladies got together, Michelle Joyce and Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, and wrote their memoirs and decided to put this book out in the volumes. So we're up to volume 2 right now, and the volumes are going to keep coming out. So just look out for us.
Just want to ask you a question about the male. Wasn't this industry pretty much male dominated, and is it still pretty much male dominated? And how difficult was it for you to maneuver, if it is?
It is very dominated. It's very well dominated. And I think that comes from, I think it's because, unfortunately, it's the power of a man. See, a woman, we have certain things that we can do in the industry. And unfortunately, that kind of brings me back to when I was younger, the experiences that I would have when I was out there shopping my music. I had albums, and I had a song that a record label called Sleeping Bag Productions wanted to make a 12-inch and sign me to their label. And they are the same label that had Joyce Sims. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Joyce Sims. She had a song I call You Are My All and All. Oh, yeah. I know y'all remember that song. But anyway, Joyce Sims, or Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent. But that was our lovely Joyce Sims. And so she was their artist. And so I guess my music was pretty much similar to hers. And so they wanted to sign me. When I got into that record label, there was some very personal things that I didn't feel comfortable about. First of all, there was a couch in the room. Okay. And there were some things that were laying on plates that I didn't agree with. So what my brother taught me, he said, Cheryl, when you go to these record companies, don't go near the couch, go near the desk where there's a chair, and make sure that you look those gentlemen in the eye and you talk to them and you don't sign anything. And that's what I did. So when I look at that, that's something else. See, in this dominating world, the men think that they can take advantage of a woman because they feel she really wants to get out there, and you want it so bad, you'll do this to get up there in the industry. You know, even if it's an offer of sex or whatever it is, that's how they did women in the industry. So already we were not looked at as a very strong cat person in the industry. And
Yeah.
if you look at the industry right now, there's not a lot of labels that are owned by women.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
I encourage young folks, young ladies need to get out there and do more to own record labels, you
Yeah.
know? So, I mean, it's just, I can go on and on and on. But the thing is that it is a male dominant world because, like I said, they're the stronger sex and they can get around and do a lot more things. And unfortunately, when you look at the stuff that's happening with Diddy right now, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And I wouldn't necessarily say that they're stronger sex. I'd say
Nah, I
that
didn't say
they've
that
gotten
either.
rights earlier than we had. Right?
exactly. Well,
They
that's, I guess that's what I mean by saying the strongest sex. They have rights that,
Now,
right.
if you're gonna say
they
men,
got a head start.
now
That's what
if you're gonna
happened.
say
You know,
men,
if we would have came out, then none of that stuff would have
yeah,
happened.
but the brothers
Exactly.
didn't have all the rights either back then either. So they were stealing music from us, and I mean the
Absolutely.
brothers was going through a little something too. But back in a particular time period, the country was pretty much male dominated in whatever industry you decided to go into.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about it. When did women even get the right to vote? Even back in the '70s when I was growing up, I mean, if a woman wanted to get a credit card, she had to get permission pretty much from her husband,
Yeah.
even to get a checking
I
account.
think it was like maybe in the 80s, but we didn't even have to. We didn't have to get them to even sign a mortgage with us anymore. So
So
it's like,
so it's pretty much always been male
yeah,
dominated. What I meant within the industry, how much strides, how far have women come from where it used to be until now? I'm not talking all the way back to Josephine Baker's day. I mean, let's take it from about the '80s when things, I guess, really started taking a change after disco. Maybe did things get a little better for women in the industry?
um, you know what? If I can just
I
interject,
don't think so.
yeah. See,
I
there
don't
you
think so.
go. I'll let her answer that.
Yeah, it didn't get better in the industry at all because, like you said, it was a male dominant world, and there was not a lot of record labels out there that were owned that women ran. Name some, like what all the labels were ran by a male.
Mm.
And so when you had to deal with someone in that industry, you had to go to a man to see if you were going to be offered a deal. So there was not a lot there. I can't think of any female labels that were out there at the time. There probably may have been a few, but they didn't make it. And
Mm.
so that's another thing about that. So, and then if they didn't make it, then, and this is 2024 right now, and they have now so many independent labels. It's like everybody's running on their own. They don't even need labels, record labels now to even get out there and do their thing in the music industry right now. They can actually just, hey, just do one. Oh, I'm a one person owner label, and yeah, that's it, and just go on out there and do their thing. It's so unethical to me because that just erases the whole idea of music and people being signed to a group that comes together and make music for the world to hear. And back, that's what I appreciate. The music that was out in our era, we got to hear that kind of music. We
Yeah,
got to hear
yeah,
from groups like Force MDs and the rappers and the groups that were out like M Vogue and stuff like that. And we got to hear great and positive music and stories.
yeah,
These days, you can make a beat off of anything. You can bang on your table, make a beat, record it, send it in, and somebody will sign you. Or
yeah.
Yeah.
you,
That's true.
or you can get it out on YouTube. It's nothing now to even just be your own, become your own producer these days.
Yeah, and I think back then, while we may not have agreed with how music was produced or even how money was made, one thing I can say is that there was some quality control. Now there's no quality control.
Mm.
You can just make something to your point, make something in your living room and put it out the next day. You know,
Exactly.
and your views, you get paid upon based upon the
How
views
many
that
views
you
you
get,
get?
right?
Yeah.
That you get. So it's not even so much quality now; it's more so quantity.
Mm.
Exactly. And you know what? It's so sad because they're stepping away from the things that really traditionally got you into the music industry and things like I don't hear young kids talk about copywriting. I don't hear, and if they do, they're talking about the bootleg way, and that's not correct. You do not send a letter in the mail to yourself and then send it back and think that's the proper way of copywriting something. I learned that a long time ago that you do it the correct way with the Library of Congress so that your stuff is registered, so that it has a serial number and you can go and look it up. So if anybody does steal your music or anything like that or your writing, you could possibly sue them, which I'm leading to that happened to me twice.
Mm.
And what it led to me, what it told me is that if someone of a certain caliber steals music from you, that means you're good. And
Mhm.
this person that was a very big person that stole two people actually that stole from me. And so that's another thing I want to educate young folks on in the industry is that when they're in the industry to make sure that they follow the rules and the guidelines and check all the I's, dot the I's and cross all the T's and make sure everything's legitimately right.
Mm.
Because there are thieves out there. And if you do something like you might write a song that might go in the next movie for Disney or something like that. And then next thing you look up and somebody that one of the artists done took your music and there's nothing you can do because you're a small person. You don't have a lot of capital, and that person's a big person, and so they get their lawyers, and you just don't have a win, don't have a fight at all. So the thing is that's another thing I educate people on. Make sure that your stuff is copywritten in the industry, and like I think that the industry is going to get a chance to come back. I really do. And I think that maybe even with women behind the mic, we can encourage a lot of young women to come on, ladies, come on. It's time for us to get back out there in the industry and bring it back. I believe it's going to come full circle. I truly do.
Well, I think with the advancements of technology, I don't know. I mean, the advancements of technology got us to where we are today in this state of mind in this situation. I'm a photographer, and I'm going to tell you, I know how you feel. Everybody that's got a cell phone thinks they're a photographer. I went to school for 2 years to learn my craft, and to learn the equipment that I use. Just for someone who just bought a cell phone steps in front of me, click click, and now he's the photographer.
Exactly.
That's been going
Exactly.
on quite a bit. I go to quite a bit the events, and everybody at the events they whip out the cell phone. They want to take pictures and they want to do videos. So the advancement of technology has made it easier for the average person to perform and do the things like you would do. A person that went to school for a few years to get a degree, or a person that I like myself. I went to school. I got a degree in these things, and the feel of the atmosphere today. They're telling the kids you don't even have to go to school. So if you want to be a professional, get a cell phone, get a microphone, get yourself set up where you can get online, and now you're a podcaster. I guess you're a broadcaster. But again, this is because of the advancements of technology that the people have moved away from one thing and moved into another. It's like when we moved out of black and white and we moved into color.
But they're taking away the education that these kids really need. That's what's so sad. That they're actually taking away the actual experience that they really need. The AI, we should be really concerned about that because that means that they can take over everything, and our kids won't have a chance in the industry if that's the case.
Do you know if you want to write poetry or you want to write a letter or whatever, you can tell the AI what you want. Just give them the little
That's
basic.
what I'm talking about.
I think that's lousy. I think that's horrible. If I was a writer, I would be embarrassed to use AI to begin with. And then I would be really pissed off if some little young cat come in with some little AI written something and he gets all the awards. I spent all the time actually writing something.
Mhm.
Look, they're putting artists out of business. Do you hear the AI that sings like Beyonce?
Oh yeah, I heard of that
Listen,
one.
we were talking about that last
See,
week.
that's ludicrous right there, guys. Don't you
Yeah,
think?
no, it really is, and it kind of takes talent away, kind of strips you away, strips you of who you are as an individual, right?
Hmm.
Especially if you work so hard to put out a craft, put out your body of work, and then a computer just comes, a computer generated image just comes in and can do anything that you can do. No one else can do it in the world. No human can do it like you do it.
Hmm.
Exactly. That's a slap in the face to me.
Yeah, so it really is a slap in the face. But I was talking to them last week in regards to AI because my company is moving into that as well.
Mhm.
And they had so many people on, they're talking about the deep fake because it really is dangerous because they can make anyone look like anyone, make them sound like anyone,
See? Mm-mm.
any language that they deemed that for them to speak, and then have have meetings in boardrooms over video, and the person is thinking it's that person,
And it's
and
not.
they've gotten swindled out of all of their money.
Straight fraud.
So
Straight
it's like,
fraud.
wow, I was like, this is going to be dangerous, and we have to. We have to move with caution, or else it's going to be
Yes.
very slow.
We may have to go back old school. That's why I'm saying I don't think that's going. You know what? With that, people better be aware that AI is not the way to go in the industry. I'm telling you, it's going to cause a whole lot of ruckus. I can see it. It's already happening. We're just talking about it right now, and maybe it's time, like I said, with what we're doing with the women behind the mic, we can tell and carry some young folks to go back old school in the industry. Do it the right way. Build a record label, a production company, and get some writers and some artists in there, and just take it back old school. There's people out there that still want to go back old school. They really do. Even young, there's a lot of young folks that were raised in that environment, and they like the music that their parents listened to, which is old school. So I would love to see a lot of young folks just get back into the industry. I have some nieces, and I'm trying to encourage them to start a record label myself. So like I just want to see I want to see a one first whatever it happens, a young woman owned production record label. That's what I want to see. And I want her to be fired. Whoever she is, I want her to have so many artists assigned to her that she'll be like the next Clive Davis up in New York, but it'll be a female. That's what my dream is to see in the industry with the women.
Plant the seed.
You know what I want to be, right?
No, what do you want to do?
I want to be the next Barry White.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you may be close tie with it, sir. You might be a close tie.
I'm sorry. It's funny. Every time we go to what do you call those when you sing you go to the place? Your karaoke. Every time I go to that, one of my family. First thing I gotta sing. Everybody comes in there. They throw on Barry White. Here you go, brother.
Really?
And you know what I do? I go right on.
Man, that's a legend there too, man.
Yes.
That's a legend there too.
Meet him, and he is oh man, this man was he's so tall. He's like over 7 feet. He was a huge guy. Had to bend down to get in and out of the doors. But a very, very gentle giant. Very nice man. Very, very, very nice man. Okay, awesome. It's 1:45, and we got to do another announcement. Thank you for tuning in to GenesisRadio.com. We're located at 383 East Broadway. Our telephone number is 888-304-4401. My name is Kendall Stevenson. Beside me is Shaquana Terry, and we are the host and co-host of the Empowerment Show. This August, we got a lot of things coming up. On the 17th of August, we got Unity in the Community. We hope that everyone comes out. We're going to have rides. You're going to get to paint your face. We're going to have live music, DJs, and we always say a prayer to start it off. So if you're in the community, if you're not in the community, if you're in the world community, the global community, stop on by. I'm sure we'll have something for you. Okay? Peace.
Yes.
All right. Sounds great.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I think that anytime the community can come together and just do so many good things and so many good deeds, it's gonna be a lot of vendors out there, right, Kendall?
Oh yeah.
You guys keep me informed. I'd like to come out and participate.
I'll send you a flyer. Come
okay.
on. I love it. You should get with Terry. And when you give them flowers, give them a date that you come on out to the show and maybe say hello while you're on the mic.
Absolutely, I will do that. I will come in person because it's been a long time.
And there's going to be a lot of young ladies and young men out there that I'm sure these people look up to you. Right as soon as you open your mouth, you're going to know who you are. So,
wow.
If they don't know, now they know.
And it's a lot of performers, correct?
We got it's live performance.
Yeah.
And I'll be out there with my drone and my cameras. And I'll be doing some photography and some videography and flying my drone around. So if it buzzes over your head, it's just me.
Yeah.
That is cool. I've always wanted to see a drone.
Yes. But Cheryl,
yes.
To get back to what you were saying, what else are you doing besides Women Behind the Mic? And I know you have your thing with the radio show and the things that you're trying to do with your children. What else can we expect from you coming up?
Well, I am considering going back into a recording studio, and I'm working on an album.
Wow.
A gospel album right now.
Okay.
We have a recording studio here,
right? We do.
Where?
Right upstairs.
Yeah.
No kidding. We got his name is Steven. He's a Grammy Award winning and
don't gonna make me come out there. Just look at my face. I'm itching to get in the studio. Like I don't have one here at home.
Listen, we got a booth right back here for the studio. We got upstairs. He's got an entire room. He's got all the tracks, everything that you would need to do what you want to do.
I love that for you,
And we
though.
Say
would love for you
less.
to do. We would love for you to do it here at Genesis Radio.
Say
Yeah,
less. I think that sounds great, and
at least
I
part of
think I'll jump on that opportunity.
it. At least part of it. So
Yes.
what do you think? Do you have an idea as to what you're going to, what the premise of your album is going to be? Do you have, what do you plan on talking about on the album or singing about? Because so many people have, when they're getting ready, especially at this age, when they're getting ready to release a body of work, they have something to say,
You
at this moment. So
I'm going to keep it spiritually simple because I am a child of God and I know I'm God's girl and I have such a great relationship with my Father God. So I'm going to keep it simple and I just want to simply make a song about praising my Father God, just thanking him for all the things he's done for us. And the lyrics will be based on that. Just whatever he's done for you, we've got to praise him, we've got to thank him, we got to sing his name, we've got to lift him up. We've got to be appreciated to how he created us because we a lot of people don't realize that God created us and he lives in us. And so we've got to do right. We got to thank him. It's not us, it's him. I
yeah.
can't stand when I hear people say, I'm the one that did. No, you didn't. Father God did that for you. And the Holy Spirit directed you. So all those type of things are going to be in that song, but it's going to have a nice melody to it. It's going to be hip hop gospel.
I like that.
Okay.
I like
It's gonna be that old school. I like the modern, like Love's Theory by Kirk Franklin. That kind of groove. I
um,
like that.
yes, that's
No,
what.
so
Can't wait for that to be released.
thank you.
I have my wife. I just want to send a prayer out to a friend of my wife's. She works with her, and her name is Betty. Her husband has cancer. He's in a bad way. He had to be rushed to the hospital yesterday. So I just want to send out a prayer to him and all the people that know them at Brookdale. Just
Yeah,
keep
lifting
keep
you
him
up
in
of your
mind. Keep him in
family.
your prayers. And
Absolutely,
he's
absolutely.
really a good person, so I don't really want to put his name out over the air like that. But yeah, see, he's a great person. He is.
So we're lifting up
Prayers are up.
anyone
Mhm.
that's suffering from cancer or any other illness, right? So we're
Yeah.
lifting them up in prayer and praying that God's will be done in their lives.
Mhm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Enough of the morbid stuff. Let's move on to something a little more refreshing and gentle. Ladies in the mic. I really want to know again what you had getting ready to plan for the future. I know you're doing your radio show. You want to do something artistic with the artistic children because of your grandchildren. Is there any other areas that you want to touch besides that while you're on the station? I mean, you got 24 hours in a day, right? So you're not going to just do artistic all day, are you?
No, no, no. I also want to get into videography as well.
Mhm.
I want to do a video with some children because there's another song that I have out and I just have to find someone that can help me with that. I don't know the first thing about it, but I want to do a video with children. I love children and I feel like they're our medicine. And they
Hmm.
make you feel good when you see them, especially babies. I truly want a t-shirt that says I love babies. Because I don't care whose baby it is. Whenever I go somewhere and I see a baby, I don't care what color. I'm like, man, can I say hello to your baby? Can I
Oh,
talk to your baby? And they just seem like they know me. I'm telling you, every baby that sees me knows it's like a spiritual thing. I can't explain it. So I definitely I want to focus on that. I do. I want to focus on the kids and yeah.
Remember Michael Jackson? We Are the World.
Yes, that too.
Oh, that was man.
mm,
That album still I thought it was fantastic. With all the artists that they had joined together that sung on that was something else.
yeah.
That really touched me. That video. You plan on doing videos like that?
Well, I'll tell you what, absolutely. But I'll tell you what I did have the opportunity to do. Maybe about maybe it's been about 15 years ago. I was living in because my mom is from Baltimore, Maryland. So I was in Maryland at the time, and my brother had a summer camp.
Hmm.
And so what happened was a school in Baltimore County needed a class song. So they heard about me as a recording artist because in Maryland, which is where my brother is from, my music was also introduced there too. So Frank Ski, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Frank Ski, but he's the first announcer, I guess you would, or radio personality that ever played any of my music on his radio station. But anyway, getting back to it, they needed to have a fifth grade song for these children that were graduating. So they got in touch with me and asked me if I could teach these fifth graders the song called So Many Things that I wrote back in the 90s. And it represented children and what they want to do, and the next generation being so powerful, and how we have to make sure that we educate them so that they and keep them from being violent and learn to get along so that they can run this world properly. So the song is similar to those lyrics are similar about that. And I taught the kids the song, and the scenario was that um, they would all put up a sign of what they wanted to be when they grow up, whether it was an Indian chief, a fireman, a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer. And as they came down the graduate line, the song was playing and they were singing it, and they showed what they want. And I tell you, when talking about somebody that cried and was so touched as seeing a whole fifth grade graduation class singing my song, knowing the words that I taught them, those kids learned that song and they sang it so great, and they did their role and they videotaped the whole thing. And that was when I knew that's what I'm supposed to be doing. When that happened, I've got to try to find some footage of it because I was so honored. I was very young at that time. So for them to do that again just told me this is the right field. You're supposed to be in this, Cheryl. You're supposed to be there. And then, like I said, I got other opportunities when I was in Atlanta. I got to be a liaison for some of the groups that were coming in. I don't know if you guys have ever heard for Black Expo.
Yeah.
Or for Sisters Only back in the day. I was on the 16 city tour with the Black Expo. So we got to have Kirk Franklin come down to Atlanta at that time. And we took him and the choir around. And Kirk's another one that owes me too. Because he owes me because he said he met me and he said, all right, Sheree, he said, I heard your album. He said, if you need anything, we from Baltimore. We peeped, you look me up. So if you're running to him before I do, tell Kirk, give me a call, please.
Listen, he's having a reunion tour that I'm going to go to in October. So,
oh my goodness, I might see you there.
I'll tell you a little story about Kirk Franklin just what I know about this on a personal level. So my brother Kevin, the stage name was Kevon, if you want to say, and he's a seamstress tailor. He made clothes. All of the robes that Kirk Franklin and they first came out with the choir, my brother actually made all of those robes for them.
Wow, that's very, very.
I just wanted to, because his name was Kevon, and
flattering.
You were around Kirk Franklin. I just wanted to,
Is this Kirk Franklin and the family, or Kirk Franklin and the younger kids?
Oh,
the new generation.
Younger kids.
The family I was with, yes.
The family is my thing. I love the family.
I'm just saying, the younger kids, I would have nothing to do with that.
No.
Brother. I mean, my brother, you're talking 30 years ago.
So Kirk Franklin.
And y'all know Kirk Franklin is really wild because while we were driving with him in a limo, at that time, LeBron James had just had a pair of tennis sneakers that were out. And they did one of those big old billboards in Atlanta of his sneaker. And he was in the limo. He got the sunroof, opened up the sunroof and stuck his little short head out the window, half of his body, and was like, yo, that's my ninja. He did say that. He said, that's my ninja. Yo, that's my ninja. I said, what? Listen to Kirk Franklin. But I said, okay, he's not a pastor. He's just an artist. Okay. Yeah. So, he's a man. He's a human man. So, I let that go. But I was just so excited to see him in his rareness. And I'm like, so he's a real person. Then, like I said, I got to meet Montel Jordan, Cece Peniston, Deborah Cox, little Monica at the time. Little young Monica at the time. Just knowing all these artists and not knowing how big that these people were later on in life to me. So, again, I really had my opportunity out there. And I don't think I'm finished yet. I'm ready to teach young kids. If they want to learn about being an artist, I'm willing to do that too, as well as radio.
Now, with that being said, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, or if they wanted to, actually, as I said, get in contact with you, how would they do so?
Well, I always tell people if they can that reach out to me on social media. I'm on Instagram. I like to give my Instagram out or my emails. That's what I usually do. Or I'll just put my information on my radio station. But they can reach me at DJ Indie Music, the number 4 and the letter U on Instagram. They reach right out to me and I'll take it from there.
Can you just repeat that once again? Just anybody who missed it.
Yes, it's the letter D as in David, the letter J as in Jack, which is DJ, and then it's all one word, Indie, INDIE. So it's DJINDIE D as in David, IE, and then the word music, MUSIC, the number 4, and the letter U. So it's DJ Indy, music for you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming in. We really appreciate it here at
Yes.
Genesis Radio.
Thank you guys for having me
Just wanted
so
to
much. I
just
truly
wanted to let
appreciate
Terry
it.
know all the flowers that you gave him.
Absolutely.
He-
Tell
he-
them to plant them, okay?
She gave you a lot of flowers, Terry.
She
She
did.
said, she said
Yeah,
you were
I
the
know.
man, and I know you stepped out
I
the
know.
office, so we wanted you to know.
I know. I
All
know.
right.
I'm gonna give you guys your flowers too. Thank you so much for having me, Kendall. I'm glad that we did this. And young lady,
Yes.
I told you your name is the same as my niece Shaquana, but I it was a pleasure talking and chopping it up with you as well, Shaquana. And I look forward to meeting you in person as well.
Likewise.
Now
Thank you.
we're gonna have to make some arrangements because we want to do this in a part 2. We spoke
Yes.
about that, and maybe we could have the doctor and the other young lady come on the same way you're coming on, and we can spend an hour doing just that. What do you
Hey,
think?
well,
Part two. All right. GenesisRadio.com. My name is Kendall Stevenson, Shaquana Terry. Again, if you'd like to give us a call, that would be 888-304-4401. This evening, our guest was Cheryl Hines, and you always got a little mantra. What you little say?
It is be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Be yourself because everyone else is taken. And I always
love that.
Thank you.
my thing is
Guys,
keep us in peace, and we're out. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Very nice.
you're welcome.
Uh,
Peace, guys.